All right. Let's talk about managing boundaries, can we? One of the most challenging aspects of our work, if you sit on a licensing board or an executive board of an agency, a state agency like I do, that you have to realize is that boundaries get us in trouble. It is a strong desire of ours to be liked, to be loved, to provide a positive impact in the community. And yet, if you take a look at the prophets of God in the Old Testament, I don't think any of them were popular. Jeremiah was the weeping prophet. Memory serves me right. Jonah, I think, he was trying to get out of Nineveh. God offered him a Caribbean cruise on a whale, and until he finally surrendered and said, "Yes, God, I'll go back." If you take a look at Job's life wasn't that great. If you look at the other prophets, you find that their work was very challenging at points. When we're managing boundaries, it becomes important for us to say, this is who I am, and these are the boundaries that provide me a safe environment to be successful in what I do. I have read student after student after student in their desire to be liked by the client that walks through the door tell me in their writing that they would accept if a client said to them, "Can we find another location for therapy?" My response to the client would be absolutely not. This is the only place I do it. My response to a therapist is, if you do that, I would have to fire you, because I'm not willing to take that liability. The further you move out of your office, the greater the chance of temptation or some choice being made that would not be that which would honor God or yourself. So, I'm going to say to you that the office that you establish, whether it be in a church, whether it be in an office building, wherever it be, is what you need to view as your safety net. And when a client tells you they're not comfortable with that, you can't bend if you plan to be effective. Now let me say that again so you hear me. You can't bend if you plan to be effective. Your heart will want to bend. You'll want to bend over backwards and do everything for them. But remember, your role is, one, a professional, and two, a helper, not their buddy. I'll give you an example. Let's pretend party A comes into my office and says to me, "Dr. Holt, I'm not comfortable with this trappings of a therapy office. Can we meet at the park and talk?" Now, there are many pastors who do that. There are many church leaders who do that. They run a high risk of getting in trouble. But because you and I are professionals in our role, and I use that term very deliberately because I believe we are, and I believe that many therapists forget that. And when you forget that, you're in trouble. If I went with the client to the park and we walked and talked, do you know what would happen? Nothing. Absolutely nothing, except we'd walk and talk. But you know what the problems that are inherent in that walk and talk are? One, the client's taking me away from the office, so what happens if she decides next time to take me somewhere else? Two, I have moved down a level from the professional helper, the therapist listening to the client, to now I'm a friend. She has tons of friends. You will be her therapist, and you need to hear me say this. You will be her therapist. You will not be her friend. She might be friendly with you. You might care about her. But there are rules to your relationship that are not inherent in a friendship. Two, what happens if Sister Susie from the church decides to go for a walk that day on a track there at the recreation center, and through the window she notices that you, Dr. Holt, are walking with this lady who's not your wife. And y'all are just sitting out there walking and talking for about 40-45 minutes. And Sister Susie goes back to church and says in prayer meeting, "We need to pray for Dr. Holt because I saw him with another woman." I can't defend myself. Why? It's confidential. Sister Susie's concerned, and thus the rumors begin. And I have to work to protect the privacy of the client. That's why when you go see your doctor, whether it be your family physician or whatever, you notice they don't meet you at the park. So why is it they don't meet you? When you meet your attorney, you don't meet him at the park. You don't meet him outside his office. So why is it in our office rules that we're okay with that flexibility? I personally think that flexibility is dangerous. I think that flexibility is dangerous. So I'm going to strongly admonish you not to go down that road. I've been a pastor and I won't go down that road. I've seen many men fall in the ministry because they've done that. I've seen counselors get in trouble. Don't go down that road. And that's the aspect on managing boundaries that I think is so important. I also want to encourage you in another aspect when you're looking at boundaries and those things of that nature. I want you to look not only at ACA and AACC ethical standards, but I also would encourage you to look at AMFT, NASW, which is the National Association of Social Workers, the American Association of Marriage and Family Therapists, and APA, the American Psychological. I would admonish you to look at the full scope of mental health, not just these two. And the reason being is if you plan to become a marriage and family therapist and you take these courses at Liberty, guess what, beloved? ACA means nothing to the American Family Therapy field. So I'm going to strongly admonish you to say, look at all of them. Get a feel. Okay? This is on managing boundaries. You don't leave your office. You maintain the concept of being a professional, and you don't back up from that, nor apologize for it. God called you to this role, and just because that person has a problem with it, that's why they're there to see you. And you can't fix it if you give in to it. Have a great evening. I appreciate you so much. Take care. Remember, call if you need me. If you have some student a while back send me 5 emails in one day, and it's like, you know, rather than waste the time on 5 emails, why not just call? You don't need that kind of drama in your life. Pick up the phone and call. Most students who have called me have said he'll answer his phone. All right. Have a great evening. Take care. Bye-bye.